This is Stephen Foster on the occasion of Caroline Bergvall's exhibition at the John Hansard Gallery, Middling English. This exhibition is very site-specific, and it relates very much to the unique architecture, both in terms of the building and the number of rooms and all that kind of thing. It's the show in various ways is related to where we are. How did this come about, and could you talk us through a little bit about the development of this project and how it got to where it is?
The site specificity is a crucial point for me. Perhaps this idea that I don't really work with objects, but when I enter a space, if it is going to be site specific, what interests me is the building, what emanates from the building as a building, the way it's been used, the floors, the height, we talked a lot about the ceiling grid for this show and things like that, and how you can emphasize, bring that building out so that for a viewer, for a visitor, the show is also that they are in the building, that they will really feel the building, and as they move across it, and I really feel like the way the structure starts from the floor of the round room and then moves into that sort of creates a dynamic which really reads the room for the visitor. And it's very abstract, it's very minimal, but it does read the room, and you have a different atmosphere in the way you approach that room than you do in the other one. So I'm hoping that it slows them down to suddenly feel that actually the objects they're faced with, like you say, is that sculpture that envelops them, that they're part of, that they move around in. And that in itself will be generative of listening, hopefully reading, which is a very difficult thing. And in this show there is a lot of writing.
In many ways, because it's a very unusual installation, this is quite difficult to address because it's sound and it's all these other elements that might be unusual to some people. In other ways, they're being helped a great deal by the nature of the installation.
Yeah, that's right. It is unusual because there's so much writing. This writing is presented in so many different forms. You have the encouragement to pick up some broadsides that we made. You can read them on the wall. You have disjointed and yet very formal presentation of a wall piece. You have sort of metallic reflection of a piece of text which seems to be a sampler of titles. And then you have this quote here which again has a reflection. I really wanted to bring a lot of writing, a lot of different kind of modes of thinking about writing to this show, because I was very interested in language politics, but also the politics that allow for access or not access to language, to knowledge, and to writing per se. And in what you have often in visual art shows that use writing, we have different sort of ways of thinking about it. You have the conceptual, you have the mapping, you have the gestural, you have transcriptive, but to bring something that deals with language on a syntactical way as well, that think about histories of printing, that thinks about what writing today might want, like the audio, things like that. That interested me a lot.
It is a very clean, simple, the structure is simple and there are some elements around it, some of it being a sound piece on a headphone, for example, which is almost non-existent until you put the headphone on. And yet it's incredibly complex, and the interrelationships and the things behind it, the generation. And it was a very complex thing to install, even though to a casual viewer it looks very simple. Is that intentional?
Yeah. Really, I very, very much like a minimalist take on the way one enters a site. It's as if you you evacuate a lot of stuff, you empty the space, and yet you fill it up with things that are, like I said, quite invisible. And the process is complex because there's so many different structurings of language and of the materials. And like you say, I mean, it was quite an amazing thing to set up. It took your whole construction team to hang this wire structure, which now hangs so beautifully. We were very naive, I have to say. My duo of architects and myself, we started with tiny plumb lines of 3 ounces. We thought that will hold the structure. And then they quickly discovered, oh my God, and now we are at 6 kilo weights by 4 to hold the wire.
Well, your working methods and the show itself slots absolutely into many different strands of the gallery's programming and the gallery's interest. So it's been a great experience. Thank you very much.
And you, thank you.